Well, hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Club Divorcee. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm here with
Angela and Mary Beth.
Welcome. This is our very first podcast, guys.
It is.
It's pretty exciting.
It is.
As we're getting used to all the equipment, so everyone give each other grace. But here we go. One of the things I want to do today is really talk about why. Why are we here? But I wanted to cover all of the W's and the H and talk about the who, the what's, the where, the how, in addition to the why. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
We're ready.
Let's do it. So welcome, everybody. Yes, I am Elizabeth, and I came from divorced parents, and I am a divorced myself, and we kind of came up with this vision kind of together, ironically. You didn't know this, Angela, but this was over a year ago when I was a barista at church, and you came up to me one morning and you said, we should start a life group. Mm-hmm. And I looked at you, I was like, a life group? Okay, what's this going to be? And she's like, you go, oh, you should totally do this for divorced people. And I laughed at her. I was like, absolutely no way. I said, we go to a church with maybe 250 members. And I'm like, so how many of them are divorced other than you and me?
Oh, there's several now.
There are?
There are.
Because I was looking, I was like, girl, if you just want to have coffee, we can go have some coffee somewhere. Because I think we're the only two with divorced at this church. But fast forward, I'm in the middle of a session. This was maybe about a month ago. And my client had fallen asleep. And out of nowhere, it just kind of dawned on me. And I heard this phrase, Club Divorcee. And I'm just like, okay. And I just look at my ceiling and I'm thinking, all right, I'm listening. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And it just kept coming to me. And then the conversation that you had with me at church over a year ago came to my mind as well. And then the phrase, from broken to blessed, came together. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So that is how it all got started. I'm thinking, okay. And then ironically, after that client, Mary Beth, you came in.
Yep.
You came into my studio. And I sat down and I'm looking right across from you with the intake form and I'm getting ready to start your session. And I just looked at you and I said, Club Divorcee. And you almost got teary-eyed. Yeah. And you looked at me, and I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I do.
But you were like, I've been looking for this group for many, many years.
A long time. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever has the courage to just come out and talk about it all.
No.
And I think people need that.
Totally. So then after that session with you, I immediately text you, and I was like, I have an idea, Angela. Yes. I'm like, what do you think? Club Divorcee, a place where people go from broken to blessed together.
I loved it.
And you're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So God, guys, Mary Beth, Angela, we're doing it. I don't know how. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't even know all the features of my iPhone 15. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get the podcast equipment and what all this is going to look like. And then fast forward just a few days afterwards, I have a client that came in for his massage. And we were chit-chatting because we know a bunch of people together with mutual friends. And I was telling him all about this. And he goes, do you know what I do for a living? And I was like, no. I've known you for over a year and I have no idea what you do. He goes, I do podcasts and I edit them. I basically was like, I am at your mercy. I'm like, please take the wheel in this. And fast forward a couple days later, we ended up meeting at a coffee shop. I gave him my laptop. I was like, just go. Like, order whatever it is that we need to order. This is the vision that I have. The vision is that we would be live at some point. And I want it to be a place where people can come together, whether they are divorced, currently going through the divorce, or have been divorced, or even grew up with divorced parents. I want everybody to come together and it can be live. And so we're getting 4 mics because I want another mic available for whoever wants to come in and share their story, whatever the topic might be. And that's kind of how it all got started. So thank you, Mark. He came in and met me at the coffee shop, put everything in a shopping cart on my laptop. And not only that, but everything got shipped to his house. He set up all the equipment and then here we are today. So thanks to Mark, thanks to God who put people where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. And this is how it all got started. The win. So our goal originally is to do it every other Friday, but we are Westfield, Indiana, and we are huge Shamrock fans. So
Yes.
go Rocks.
Go Rocks.
Go Rocks.
We had made semi-state
Yes, next Friday.
next Friday. So therefore, we have done it, and we're going to be doing it on a Sunday. So it doesn't interfere with the Rocks game.
No, we can't miss a Rocks game.
You can't miss a Rocks game. So it's on a Sunday right now, but we will figure out when we can start doing this to make it live and so people can chime in and be a part of this. But we are looking maybe like an every other Friday thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is kind of our goal. I know I actually had a couple people laugh at me and be like, Friday night, really? What if we have a date? I was like,
Good for you.
right.
Go on your date.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And then this is going to be recorded and then uploaded so you
Give
can
us your
listen
story.
in later.
Give us your story after the
Oh,
date.
yeah.
Yeah, let us know how the date goes, guys.
Yeah. And then we might have to have him for a podcast.
Yeah.
How did
Right.
your date go?
We can do a lot of talking about that.
Oh, I know. I think we're going to have a lot of fun nights talking about our dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that is the win. The who, obviously, it's the three of us, and then whoever wants to chime in. But the most important thing is the why. When I was listening to this whole vision that came to my mind, learning about Club Divorcee, I kept reflecting on what my divorce was like. And then I started reflecting about what it was like as a child and my parents going through the divorce. And I was really young when my parents got divorced. In fact, there was some time in my life where I actually lived with my grandparents, and my grandparents raised me. But I will never forget the time when my biological dad was in court and they were going through another divorce battle, and he was dating someone who wanted to have kids. So she was wanting to prove that she could be an awesome parent and a step parent, and she eventually wanted to start having kids of her own. So that was the whole reason why we were going to this court and we were battling. And if anyone knows the city, we were hiding out in Seymour, Indiana, which everyone calls Seymour Butts. Also the home of Johnny Cougar Mellencamp, in case anyone wanted to know that fact. But we were in court, and my biological dad threw his arms up, and he randomly just said, "Fuck it, I don't want them." And when he said them, he referred to my brother and me. So to be that young to going through that, I didn't know what to do. My mom ended up remarrying, and at first we had our drama, and it wasn't the greatest, but at the same time, I appreciated him. I can't imagine what it would be like to be 26 years old, marrying a mother of 2 kids, and then having a third on the way. So you go from being a complete bachelor to all of a sudden a dad and a husband. It's just crazy. So in fact, I want them on the podcast coming up soon too, because I want him to talk about his story. And of course, my mom talking about her story as being, abused wife that she was. And her courage on escaping all of that. I think that would be amazing. So mom and dad, you're going to be on it soon if you didn't know it yet. But then going through my divorce itself, it was crazy. We were in love, but we were 2 individuals who had the same vision and the same mission at the same time. We both wanted what we wanted when we wanted it. So we got married and we had a kid. And then right after that, I was ready for a second one because I wanted more than just one, but he had other visions and immediately filed not too long after that. And to go through a 13-month divorce, it was so brutal. So brutal. And I remember being told, 50% of people are divorced. You'll be okay. And I'm like, well, where the hell are they? Because everywhere I went, I felt like I was getting stared at. I feel like I was getting judged. I was too ashamed to go to church. I was completely lost. And I didn't know what to do. I drank every single night that I didn't have my son. And he was so young that we alternated every other day. So if you could imagine having to see him every other day, as far as my ex-husband, that was awesome. Kid you not. I'm joking. But then having all the lights on in the house, having every single television on in the house, and not to mention I had to have the house show ready at all times because it was listed for sale. Brutal. His lawyer actually made scenes at my doctor's offices. There was one time in my OB office, for example, he came waltzing in and yelling and demanding a deposition in front of all these other patients. And I'm just sitting here like, Oh, yeah, it got so bad. And my neurologist, he did the same thing, demanding a deposition. He wanted full custody of my son. He wanted me to leave the house. And he was like, by the way, he told me January 14th of 2019. This is what he said to me. He goes, the ship has sailed a long time ago. I've never loved you. I didn't know how to tell you. And oh, by the way, I never put your name on the mortgage, so get out. And I looked at him and I looked at the high chair and I pointed at the high chair. I said, now you have to figure out how you're going to handle that. I was like, but guess what? I'm not leaving. I was like, we're in this together. This is my house too. And I am not just leaving with my car and my clothes and letting you raise our son by yourself.
Right.
Like, he's my son too. But we finally go through the divorce 13 months later. And then you get the whole, guess what? 2020. What was 2020? The shutdown.
The shutdown.
Oh
Wonderful.
my gosh. So if you can imagine actually feeling alone and then literally being alone. Thank you, God, for the Drizzly app, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I had wine delivered like every other day to get me through this divorce. And I had nobody. My virtual runs, the most boring runs ever. I don't think I'll ever do another virtual run, to be honest with you. But it was utterly alone, and I felt alone. And so as I was reminiscing on this Club Divorcee, this vision that came to me in the middle of a massage session, I just started thinking about, like, it sucks being alone. It sucks going through a divorce. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like they are alone. And so that is my why. My why is that I am here for you and that we're here for you. And we want us to have this community for people who are broken or have been broken to come together and inspire one another and share the love and share the joy that there actually is joy and there actually is love when it comes to being divorced. So welcome to Club Divorcee. Angela, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me your why.
My why. So I was married. He was an alcoholic. He was very abusive during the time of our marriage. Not necessarily physically abusive, but financially abusive, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive. He stripped me away from everything that I was, my complete identity. We had children together, and everything that I thought that I was going to be as a mom and as a wife, it completely changed. So my why. When I finally decided to leave, I tried to leave for the first time in 2016, and I really wasn't ready. That was the first time he had actually hit me in the course of our marriage, but it was starting to build to get to that. And I knew by building friendships and meeting with a counselor that this was not a very good marriage, that this was toxic, and I needed to get out. When he hit me, I said, I'm finally done. He tried to confine me to the home. He wouldn't let me get away. I finally was able to get out of the house. I knocked on several doors to find, someone to just give me a phone. He's taken my phone. He's taken my keys. I need to call for help. When I finally had the police come, he was arrested. He had a very lengthy record at the time, so they removed him from the home. He spent time in jail, not very long, but somebody bailed him out. And then we started the court process, and I filed for a legal separation. And during that time, we had a special needs daughter. She was really, really young. She was very unhealthy. She's immune compromised. I was homeschooling our kids because that's the path that we decided to go. And we had this unhealthy child at home. So any germs coming into the home could have made her very, very sick. We were in the hospital quite a lot during those first 5 years of her life. I was trying to find a way, how am I going to homeschool my kids, financially prepare myself and provide for myself when he is the breadwinner. And I would say he had brainwashed me to think that you're not going to be able to do it on your own. You're not going to be able to provide for yourself. You're not going to be able to provide for our kids. You're not going to be able to stay in this house. So we started the court process, and we were separated for almost an entire year. We had met with a counselor that was a Christian counselor, and he didn't really understand the addictions and the abuse that I was experiencing in the home. My husband is very good and my ex-husband was
Let's
very,
verify that.
very charming and very convincing. He is not diagnosed as a narcissist, but I would tell you 100% he is a narcissist. He convinced this man, our counselor, that it was all me. It was all my fault, and that I just needed to do more counseling and we could save our marriage. And not being strong enough in myself and secure enough in myself, I fully believed it and thought, marriage is the right thing to do for our children. So we got back together in 2017. Things were good for a while, and then things were not good. The drinking started back up. The drug addiction started back up. He was self-employed for a while, and it was easy for him to be able to leave home and use work as an escape when he would actually be out drinking or drugging. And there were several instances of other women, and I knew that through our entire marriage. But trying to pinpoint that, he would lie and say, why don't you trust me? And maybe you're the problem when I'm at home the entire time with our kids and homeschooling. It's
you're such a problem.
I don't even have time to drink a hot cup of coffee. When would I have time to have an affair? So, those kinds of things. But when you're not secure in yourself and you are so convinced and wrapped up in this man, you're going to believe anything that they tell you. It was finally when it was in July of 2022, I take our kids from church to camp every single year, and it was hard leading up to that camp time. I almost didn't want to go, and I always want to go to camp. Like if you ever meet me, you know that I live for kids, and I live for our kids' camp and the experience that our kids get to have while they're away. And I remember sitting on the dock that morning before 350 kids get off the bus, and I'm like, my marriage is in the crapper, and I don't know what to do about it. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't know what's happening outside of my home, but I know that it's not good. And God was like, don't worry about it. I've got you. I went through the rest of camp. I did not talk to my husband at the time one time. He didn't call in and, check on us while we were all away. I had my girls with me. And when I got back, I noticed that my bottle of perfume was missing. And I was like, where's my bottle? And I mean, this was my nice date night bottle of perfume. This wasn't like the cheap stuff that you wear every single day or whatever when you're just walking out the door. This was date night, this was expensive perfume. And I was like, where's my perfume? And he said, oh, you must have taken it to camp. I was like, nobody takes perfume to camp. Like, we barely have time for showers. And if you do have a shower, you're sweating it off by the end of the day. Like, you're not spraying Chanel No. 5 on your body. So I was like, no, I didn't take that to camp. Well, maybe your girls, hid it, or maybe they took it. And I'm like, no, my kids wouldn't do that. And I just knew that something had happened in my home that week while I was at camp. Like somebody,
Oh, jeez.
you just know.
Yeah.
You know that woman gut feeling
Yeah.
that you just know.
Mm-hmm.
I let it go, but I let the questioning go, but it was always in the back of my mind. And that was in July of 2022. Come September 2022, my daughter finds something on her dad's phone and shows it to me, and I start doing a little digging, and I find out that he had an affair while I was away at camp. And I processed it for a day or two, just trying to dig and figure out who this woman was.
And if you don't mind me asking, what is it that she showed you?
She showed me he was drinking at a bar. And then going through his phone, I was able to find this woman, her name. And then, women can be sleuthy. We can find out anything when we want to know some information.
Like my case?
Oh, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, he's calling this woman. And I'm like, who is this woman?
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't a name that I had ever heard of. So it's not like he's calling a sister. So I do a quick Google search, and it leads to an escort service. So she ended up being a prostitute.
Oh my gosh.
And at 3:00 in the morning, I know what's happening. It's not just, we all know what's happening. So I had finally found my proof, and I said, I am done. I consulted with an attorney and quickly filed for divorce and decided to get out. And I thought, like, after all these years of his abuse, that it would be easier when I finally got my divorce filed. I thought I will finally be able to be secure financially. I will finally be able to make my own decisions. I will finally be able to go wherever I want to go and not have to be questioned about everything and everywhere that I decide to go. And I quickly found out that after my divorce from him, that he finds different tactics. He finds different ways to manipulate, or he finds different ways to control. And it's a very lonely place to be, because not a lot of people understand that. When you've been married to someone who has abused you to the point where you have no self-worth, it's not something that people understand. I would have to ask him to babysit our kids so that I could go out to dinner. And if I went out to dinner, I was told I was out having an affair. I really wasn't where I was. Or I really wasn't where I was, or I would have to pay for it later. I would have to do things for him to reimburse him for watching our children, so to say. It has not gotten better. It's very lonely. And I know that I'm not the only woman that experiences that every single day.
Yeah.
And that is my why.
Very good. It's pretty powerful. I dated a lot of guys who were extremely abusive in many ways. I was married to a guy who was financially abusive. He hated my job. He doesn't like the fact that I was a licensed massage therapist. Super jealous. There was even one time he came into my studio and he was running down the hall yelling over a client. I'm like, this client, he's an MS brother of mine. So the year and day, actually, I was diagnosed with MS. I immediately got on Facebook and I started looking for MS groups. And this one gentleman, he is a leader of a group, and he immediately welcomed me, and he became like my brother to me and really guided me through, because I was just so new. I mean, I was just diagnosed. And anyway, he actually came to Indiana and he had a massage for me. Well, come to find out, he was showing me a picture, and the picture was him in high school, and he was playing football. And he's like, guess who this other guy is? And the other guy in the photo was A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, New York Yankee, retired now, of course, but he had played football with him. So anyway, we're standing in my massage studio looking at this picture, and in comes roaring my ex-husband, pissed. He thinks I'm having an affair on him. And I'm like, this is a client of mine. I'm like, what are you?
Didn't he ask for the divorce? So
he totally did.
Why should you get mad?
Oh, no. I'm just like, but at the same time, I was like, it was one of those red flags in the beginning that I just didn't pay attention to, because love is blind. And I was in this marriage, and I'm like, I made a promise to him in front of God. I was like, I am going to be your wife. So whatever he did, I was like, I'm submissive, right? Like, I'm the wife. I'm going to keep this marriage. He was extremely jealous of my job. So at one point after I had my son, I had to stop. I was also a campus director of a massage college, and he hated that job. So after Austin was born, like, okay, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And it's like, but then again, I'm like, I had this vision of starting my own practice. I shouldn't say it was all of a vision. It was more of like, maybe I should, because I had so many clients asking me to do it. So I started my own business, literally 8 months pregnant and about ready to pop. And I was like, you know what? That'll be great. I'll see one client a day and I'll just keep my license fresh. And that's why he started hating it. And then it just grew even worse to where he would give me all of the bills on a piece of an envelope. He would say, mortgage is this, phone is this, internet this. So I never actually saw a bill a day in my life with him. And all I got was this envelope. You owe me this. And I'm like, okay, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. So how am I supposed to pay my mortgage, my portion of all of these bills, if you don't want me to work? talk about financial abuse.
Right.
Like I lost my savings, I lost everything because I still had to pay half of everything, but yet not work to take care of our son. So extremely weird. So I
Yeah.
get the abuse thing. When it comes to the dating, which we'll talk about later down the road too, I've had quite a few abusive situations before. But again, it's like you love someone, so you're gonna stick it out.
Right.
Totally. I get it. So, but here you are, and
Here
you're
I
part of
am.
Club Divorcee.
And I found joy in the brokenness.
Yes,
So,
you did. Yes, you did. So, how about you, Mary Beth? Let's talk about you.
Okay. So mine's a little different. I don't want to like bash guys totally in this, like, because we want to include them. So I'm not going to talk about what happened in my marriage. Suffice it to say, he was abusive as well. And I left the marriage and divorced him. And I have found that if a woman with children divorces their husband and files themselves, you can bet that that husband deserved it.
oh yeah.
So for all of you that think you're getting gems when you start dating married men that are getting divorces, you better call up the spouse
Right.
because you
I
want to
totally
hear
agree.
that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. You know, men that are cheating, men that are in the middle of a separation, and I've done a lot of therapy. You're not ready to date until you've been divorced for a year. And that is a hard lesson to learn, but any therapist or professional will tell you that. And if you do it, you're going to find yourself in a big mess
Right.
with someone because they're not healed and they're not healthy. And in therapy, one time my therapist looked at me and said, "You're pretty emotionally healthy now. You've done a lot of work. You're going to have a really hard time finding someone who's equally emotionally healthy." And you know what? I found that to be true time and time again. And I have dated men that are not able to love. They're damaged. They're doing drugs. They're alcoholics. They're looking for me to fill a hole for them. And I'm an empath, so I really want to do that for people. But, you know, I had a son to raise on my own because my husband, we never saw him again, my ex, when Alec was 10. But I learned strength, and I learned that nobody else was going to protect me or my son. Nobody gave a shit. Like it was us against the world. Basically, people just tried to take from me. They made it worse. And so you have to be really careful who you allow into your life, who you allow in your home, who you allow around your children. You don't want to drag 50 people around your children. You know, your kids didn't ask for this. And there was a day where I just stopped and said, I'm going to put my son first. And I didn't drag men in and out. And I raised my kid. And I raised a really stellar child.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's
he is
amazing.
awesome.
And he's 24 now, and he's a pharmacist. But I can tell you that a lot of people did not make my life any easier. My son went to private school, and I remember being the only divorced parent in the class. Nobody gave me any breaks for that. No one understood it. And my family didn't understand because we didn't come from divorce. And I have great parents that helped me a lot. But ultimately, I think my why is that you have to learn strength and you have to learn to protect yourself. And you have to stop letting people take from you, and you have to be strong. And it's really difficult. And I remember holidays were the worst for me after I got divorced. I just did not want to participate. I didn't want to go to Thanksgiving dinner. I felt like a failure. I was reeling from abuse. I was, you know, trying to pull my life back together, and I could barely function. And, you know, my family, people would get mad, like, why aren't you at this event? Why aren't you doing this? And my therapist, who was amazing, said to me, you don't have to do anything. Treat it like an ordinary day. Order some dinner in if you want and treat yourself well, but treat it like an ordinary day. You do not have to participate in all this. And that was probably one of the best pieces of advice I ever got about dealing with the pain of a divorce or even a death. You know, we don't have to participate in all these things. We can just say it's an ordinary day for me right now. I'm not there yet. And even after all these years, I'm still going through that. It's been a while. And the men that I've dated have not made it any better for me because they were all damaged goods. And that's my own thing. tend to pick those guys that need help, but you have to put yourself and your children first, and you have to find healing, and you have to have a lot of strength. So I think this community could be really good for people, and I think we can all offer each other support and wisdom. And those were things I didn't have for a very long time, and I kind of had to figure that out on my own. So that's my way.
I love it. So you actually just brought up a really good topic to discuss real quick in addition to all of this as we discuss our lives. You mentioned the holidays.
Oh, the holidays.
The holidays, right? So I have received so many questions. TikTok alone, one video had over 10,400 views, and people were asking me, how do you get through the holidays? So your therapist told you, Mary Beth, that you treat it just like any ordinary day.
She said, you don't have to participate in your family stuff, that however you're feeling, like, just go with it. And you don't have to make a big deal out of holidays. Just treat it like an ordinary day. Order yourself some really nice dinner in that maybe you wouldn't have done, or go out to dinner, whatever you want to do. But you don't have to make it such a big thing. Just treat it like an ordinary day. And I started to do that for a while. And I'm sure my family did not understand why I didn't want to go to Christmases and participate in all that. But I just was hurting. And I didn't have anybody else to go through that with. I was alone outside of my son. So, you know, my son felt the same way. He bailed on us. Like, we didn't have,
And
he didn't have
10.
a dad. He was 10.
He was 10. So he's going to remember that the rest of his life. He's not like he's 2 when he doesn't.
Yeah. So he and I would just spend these holidays together, having ordinary days, watching TV. Maybe, I think a couple times we went skiing, or we would go out of town. You know, I'd go to Florida with him or whatever. But I just made it about the two of us and just creating our own holiday, because they were so miserable to watch a family, or everybody seems married, especially like the community we live in, Carmel, Westfield. It's family. So everybody seems to be married. So it's very hard, and people don't understand. And I remember being jealous of people that had these great family units. So of course I wanted that.
Of course.
But I couldn't have it. And so, you know, there was a lot of pain with it, and a lot of just sad, hard days. And holidays were the worst. And so that's what I would say to people. I would give you that same advice. Just treat it like an ordinary day. You know, it does not have to be a Hallmark version of Christmas. You know, that is a man-made thing. You don't have to do that.
So if I can ask you real quick then, you had your son full time. So it's not like you had a split custody. It's not like you had time to yourself.
I was blessed, though, with that.
You're
Because
so
my
blessed
ex
for that.
was a nut job.
So, but tell me, did you still put up a Christmas tree the year you got divorced? Did you still play this Christmas spirit character for the sake of your son?
Yeah, you know, my parents were great. I've a fantastic family unit. Like, my family unit is amazing. My parents are amazing. So yeah, for him, we would get up and have Christmas morning, and they kind of took that on for me. I wasn't really in any shape at first to do that. So they kind of took that for me, and they did that with him, and they kept his life really consistent when I wasn't even able to. Because like the pain for me was pretty deep. I had endured a lot of abuse. So I wasn't whole at that point. I was just trying to keep it together. So my parents helped a lot with that. But Alec too, we both became kind of just each other's rock.
Your son,
Yeah,
Alec.
my son. We became each other's rock. And so it's been him and I for like a really long time. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I would just say you've got to keep it. Yeah, I put up a Christmas tree. Yeah, I tried to be normal
Okay.
for him. My parents did a lot of that to keep it normal. But what is normal, really? I mean, we both just gone through a really traumatic experience. We were both suffering. You know, and we both cried a lot of tears, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this person, it was like a death. He was just gone, which was a blessing for me and for Alec, but in the end.
Okay.
But it's tough. So yeah,
yeah, of course.
that's what I would say.
All right, Mary Beth, thank you for sharing your story and your why and how to get through the holidays. So this is actually a great topic to finish up for our very first podcast. We're going to talk about the holidays. Angela, tell me about you and how you handled the holidays.
Oh, wow. The holidays are tough. When I filed for divorce, it was September of 2022. And we came quickly upon our first Thanksgiving and our first Christmas. I did have my children for that time. Their dad was not in a good place, and we had not established custody or anything like that. So the girls were with me for most of that time until everything was established. And I didn't realize this at the time, but in 2022 of December, I decided that I hated all of my Christmas ornaments and I just needed to get rid of everything. So I did. And I literally gave like everything to Goodwill. And I went out and I bought brand new Christmas ornaments. And they were this midnight blue and dark purple and this cream and silver color, which are gorgeous. It's not that I don't like those colors, but they were gorgeous colors. And I was like, these are our new Christmas ornaments, new life, new Christmas. This is us. And we put those up and it was gorgeous for the first Christmas. And then 2023 rolls around and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I bought these Christmas ornaments, like 2023. And I was like, these are okay. And then we got to 2024 and when I opened up the box for Christmas, I was like, I absolutely hate these Christmas ornaments. Like, what was I thinking? And I was like, where is the cheer? Where is the red and the green and the white? And I quickly realized that how depressed I was during that Christmas time, because I think that I needed that change. And if you have those colors in your home, there is nothing against those. I'm just preferably geared towards color and reds and greens. So I realized I think I was seriously depressed. Thank goodness I was in counseling during those times. She didn't really mention that to me. Maybe I should have talked about those Christmas colors that I selected. And then in January of 2025, when everything went on sale, I went out and quickly bought my red, green, and white and gold Christmas ornaments. And those are waiting to be put up the day before Thanksgiving this year. But the Christmases are hard when you have to switch between those homes. I'm looking at Thanksgiving this year and I will have my kids, but my spouse will not. And I know as much as I dislike him, that's going to be a really, really hard time for him. I know how hard it is to celebrate a holiday without your kids. I don't know how to get through those times. The last year, I sat on my parents' couch and I took a nap, and it was absolutely dreadful. But I did force myself to be spent with my family and tried to just get through it the best that I could. I hope that it gets easier. I really wish I had advice on that one. I think it sucks.
I think it's
to be
hard.
quite honest.
And I think people don't understand
Holidays are awful.
Oh, it sucks.
Because
Unless
you have
you've
to
been through
split it.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
When Christmas rolls around, I don't get Christmas Eve with my kids, but I get them from 10 to 9 on Christmas Day. Am I grateful for that? Absolutely. But their dad doesn't get them. It's just really, really hard.
It's super hard.
Yeah. And if that's you, you're not alone.
No.
You're not alone. Just text your friends and reach out to anybody that's not with someone and
Yeah.
have your own holiday.
They call Thanksgiving a Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really like Thanksgiving. It's not something that I celebrate personally, just half Native American. So why do I want to celebrate people coming into the country and killing us? We were having fun killing each other. But there's football. So I would wake up, and my first year divorced, I didn't have my son for Thanksgiving, and it was heartbreaking. So how did I get through it? Well, I knew I was going to go visit my grandparents that were still alive at the time. My grandfather had passed away this year, but I knew I was going to go see them. And my grandfather was like another dad to me. So to go see him was wonderful. But to go without a kid in his backseat in my car, that sucked. So I just sucked it up and I concentrated on football. I saw my family. I did a really cheesy, ridiculous veggie tray and turned it into a turkey and all that, pretended I was celebrating Thanksgiving. went to go see my grandparents, and I sat and watched football. And I'm sitting here watching football and just concentrating on football. That's how I got through Thanksgiving. I've never been the kind of person to watch the parade. I've never been the kind of person that is like, oh, what kind of turkey are we gonna deep fry it this year? Like, it's just not me. In fact, my brother and I, we eat ham. So we don't even do the turkey. But when it came to Christmas, oh my gosh, Christmas, I didn't want to do a tree. So for the people who actually did chime in, how did you go through your first year? It sucks. I went through it with a lot of wine. And thank you, Drizzly, because it was 2020, my first year. And everything had to be delivered and everyone had to be sheltered. So I literally was alone on Christmas. But there's just nothing you can do other than just fight through it. I felt completely alone.
I would say that just to the people that have been through it, or if you are somebody that knows somebody that's getting a divorce or going through it, maybe reach out to people and be extra inclusive during the holidays with people that you know that are going through divorces or are single with, alone during those times, and ask them to join you and try to make it, better for people. I think people that haven't been divorced don't realize what that's like, that you've lost your spouse, you're alone, maybe your kids aren't there. It's a dark time.
It's so dark.
So reach out to people too.
Oh, totally. But I remember people would invite me like, hey, come here. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't. I want to watch a Die Hard movie or because that is a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Let's get
if
real,
you've got to be in
Right.
your pajamas, if you want to be in your PJs all day watching TV, do it.
Yeah.
Do what you have to do.
Yeah. I didn't even do a Christmas tree my first year.
Yeah.
I totally didn't want to. In fact, I didn't even want to carve pumpkins that year. My parents came over and they brought 2 pumpkins and they carved with my son. I didn't have it in me. I feel terrible.
Yeah.
I have the pictures of it. I see it, but I didn't want to celebrate it. And when it came to Christmas, I couldn't even do a tree. There was no joy in me at that time. I really did feel alone, and I really felt alone with COVID. But ironically, and we'll talk about it in another podcast, but I finally sucked it up and I went to church one day, and holy cow, it's when I realized I really wasn't alone. And there were people at church who actually saved my life, literally. A topic for another day. But it was the church that actually helped me get through a lot of it. It was the church that helped me turn my life around. It was the church that encouraged me to pick up the Bible for the first time in I don't know how many years. And when it comes to the Bible, you hear all these stories. Oh, start here, start there. I'm like, well, I made a personal goal. I'm going to read a Bible in a year. So what did I do? I opened it up and I started from page 1. And then 365 days later, to the T, I closed it because I did it. But that's what saved me. And that's how I got through the holidays. But you do got to go through the tough times. And I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't want to hear that, but it's true. You got to go through it no matter how it works.
You bring up the church, and I just wanted to say, we were talking about something earlier where you were like, well, we were the only 2 divorced people in the whole congregation. I was like, there's more now, and it's a really hard thing as a Christian to actually get a divorce. I think there's such a stigma around getting a divorce, and God hates divorce, and Christians tend to be so judgmental when they hear that somebody's getting a divorce. And I have to say that we, Elizabeth and I, have an amazing church that we are a part of, and
totally.
where they don't want to see a family in brokenness. When there are certain situations, they wholeheartedly came around me while I was going through my divorce, and wholeheartedly wrapped themselves around my children. And I think that there's a bigger unit of divorcees in our congregation because our church is so loving and so accepting. There's no judgment there. We live in a fallen world, and I think that our pastor understands that sometimes things just happen. So I just wanted to say that we're not from a church of divorce, but they feel accepted and they feel loved and they feel like they can come together and worship in our church family.
Well, yeah, but I think that's also just part of it, though. When people feel alone, they feel like they shouldn't go to church or they
Right.
can't go. They're not going to be accepted. They're not going to be welcomed. They're
Right.
going to be judged. Like, oh, you're divorced. Oh, you can't come here.
Yeah.
And that was actually part of my fear, too.
Mm-hmm.
I was so afraid and so ashamed, and I was embarrassed. Like I said, 50% of these people are divorced, but where the hell are they?
Yeah. Where are they?
They're not at church. At least
No.
that's what I felt. So, but yes, to your case in point, like I went in, I joined 2 life groups. And the funny thing is, I was the only divorced person,
Right.
but that was okay. Everyone was so cool and so welcoming. And I was in some of the groups where I showed up with black eyes and busted lips. And I kid you not, they saved me, like literally saved my life. And that's the love that they have.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
Right.
They're not going to judge you for being divorced.
If they are, find another church. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Exactly. It's not the right one.
Yeah.
So you go, you do you, you be you, and you hold your head up high. You're divorced and it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And it's great to be part of this group. We all are here for each other. And we're Club Divorcee. And that's
Yeah.
who we are.
That's who we are.
Yeah. And so this is the very first podcast. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for taking the time and hanging out with us. And we will be launching another one here soon. And the next one, we are going to try and to make it live and record it. So, makeup, pajamas, whatever you want to do, we'll be here. Thank you for joining.
Thanks. Thank you.